Hey everybody, here we go. Finishing up some factoring examples. So this is the second part of factoring part 2, so we'll call it factoring part 2.2. And the first problem I want to do is factor 2x squared plus 7x minus 4. If you haven't already watched factoring part 2, you might want to watch factoring part 2 because that kind of sets up for this problem. So, my answer, I know that when I factor my answer, I need to get this 2x squared. So, that means that it's got actually, the only way to multiply to 2x squared is going x times 2x. So, that must be the one that I'm looking for. To multiply to a negative 4, it could be negative 1, positive 4. It could be negative 2 and positive 2. And that's it. So actually not many options here. So x, maybe x and 2x matches up with negative 1 and 4. So x minus 1 and 2x plus 4, or x plus 4 and 2x minus 1. Yep. Okay, or maybe x and 2x matches up with the negative 2 and 2. So x minus 2 and 2x plus 2. Or the negatives could be flipped around. Maybe it'd be positive 2 here and negative 2 here. But that's just going to give me an opposite middle term. So I actually don't need to test them both out. Okay. There's a little bit of a shortcut. Not a shortcut, just a little, what's the right word for it? You don't need to test all three of these out. I don't know the right word for it off the top of my head, but this is why. When you look up here, these three components of the problem, they do not have a common factor that you can divide out. So because these three things do not have a common factor, when you break it up into factoring, the factoring should also not have a common factor. So when I test, if you test out this, like this one, 2x and 4, those are common factors. So that means this one cannot be an answer. Down here, 2x plus 2, 2x and 2 and 2, those are common factors. So those cannot be the answer as well. Well, the only one that's left is this one, and if I test it out, I get negative x plus 8x, which is the 7x that I desire, which means this might be my answer. Not might be, that is my answer. So I was kind of going through guess and check, but using guess and check, I was able to eliminate some potential answers, make my life a little bit easier. All right, I have one more example. This one is better suited for advanced factoring, but I thought I would show it to you right now. Okay, common factors. You always want to see if they have common factors. Like when I look up here, these three things do not have common factors, so I went straight into factoring. But 12, or 4, 12, and 72, they're all divisible by 4, and I noticed that each of these have at least an x squared in common. 4x squared times what is 4x to the 4th, x squared, minus 3x minus 72 divided by 4. 18 minus 18. There were two x's, but I'm factoring out both x's, so this is what I'm left with. Then, what's on the inside? You got to look at this and say, hey, is this factorable? And this is one of the easier ones where this a value is 1. So you know the first term is going to be x and x. You're just looking for two numbers that multiply to negative 18, yet add up to negative 3. Let's see. 1 and negative 18, 2 and negative 9, 3 and negative 6. This is the one. Multiplies to negative 18, yet adds up to negative 3. So x plus 3, x minus 6. Okay. Hey, if you're feeling good with these problems right now and you're like, I'm going to get into factoring, You should go ahead and, well, I guess this is all you would need. In class tomorrow, we'll be working on more factoring. And if you can do these problems, you're pretty well set up for more factoring. I just love factoring problems. I'm going to do one more problem. I'm going to try to make it really hard. When you write factoring problems, this is what you do. You go like this. You kind of create the answer first. So let's see, I want the answer to be 4x minus 5 and 3x plus 4. And if I do that, I'm going to get 12x squared plus 16 yet minus 1. Oh, interesting. So plus x and then minus 20. All right, so that's the one I'm going to factor. I'm going to factor 12x squared plus x minus 20. And I'm going to ignore this over here on the side for a bit. Okay, what multiplies to 12x squared? Well, it could be x and 12x. It could be 2x and 6x. It could be 3x and 4x. Oh, it wouldn't be 12x squared. Sorry about that. All right, what about multiplying to negative 20? It could be 1 and negative 20. It could be 2 and negative 10. 4 and negative 5. Okay, that's pretty much it, I guess. So maybe x and 12x match up with 1 and negative 20. So x plus 1, 12x minus 20, or x minus 20 and 12x plus 1. Maybe this matches up with the 2 and the negative 20 and 2 and negative 10. So x plus 2 or 12x minus 10, or maybe x minus 10 and 12x plus 2. Maybe the x and the 12x match up with the 4 and the negative 5. X plus 4, 12x minus 5, or 12x minus 5 and x plus 4. Well, these are all the ways that it could be, I could match up with the x and the 12x. Now, I'm going to start going shortcuts here, because as you can see, like so far I've wrote up a list of 6, and this is only 1/3 of all the different possible options. But when you look at this, these had no common factors, but I have a common factor here with this 12 and 20, so this one's out. I have a common factor here with the 12 and the 10. I have a common factor here with the 12 and the 2. So of all the different ones, just due to getting rid of common factors, I'm only left with these 3. And if you test these 3 out, none of them are going to work, and we already know that. This is where I'm going to give you a hint. Not a hint. This is just something I've noticed about human nature when teachers are writing factoring problems. Is that when you have all these different options of like what's going to match up with what, always start with the numbers that are closest to each other. So I'm going to start with 3x and 4x and 4 and negative 5. And the reason, and I can't say it's always like this, but when people write problems, they seem to like to use numbers that are actually pretty close to each other, not far apart. So this is actually, it's more likely that these would be our answers. So try it out. Let's see. I could have 3x plus 4 and 4x minus 5. I could have 3x minus 5 and 4x plus 4. And due to what we're saying about common factors, this can't be an answer, which means this is my only potential out of here. And if I test out the outers and the inners, I get 16x and negative 15x, which does add up to that 1x, or this 1x over here. And yeah, it does match the answer that I had from the start. So I kind of copped out there in that I used information I knew. But this is the point, is that when you have to decide which one of these to try to match up, start off matching up the ones that are closest to each other. So I first would have matched these up with these, If that wouldn't have worked up, I would have matched these up. If that wouldn't have worked, I would have matched those up. And then I would have tried out the 2x and the 6x. So anyway, as you're seeing with this, the best way to get better at these is just to keep practicing and practicing and practicing. And it's not something you want to hear, but if you do 100 of these, you're going to get really good at factoring. If you do 1,000 of these, you're going to be super good at factoring. And Elliot's super good at factoring, and that's because I teach, which means I've done literally thousands of factoring problems up to my life at this point. So try out some guess and check. Yeah, let's get to factoring. Have a great day, everybody. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.